guys, welcome to Sophia's Kitchen. I'm going to make something really awesome for you today. I'm going to make some crusty, happy, tasty, fluffy bread rolls for you. Something that you guys have been requesting for quite a while. So I'm going to show you one of my really nice recipes that I make on a really regular basis at home that I've been doing as a child already, and they are really crusty and amazing. So let's get right into it. So it's really simple actually to make really fluffy inside but crusty outside bread rolls, and I've got a mixture of different flours for you today, but essentially what we're going to do is we're going to get started with some water. You just need water and some yeast to warm up, and you know the drill, guys. If you've watched some of my videos before, you always have to warm up your yeast in some water or liquid before you actually add any other ingredients, because we want to make a really nice environment for the yeast to grow and feed through the bacteria so that we can get a lovely fluffy dough. So we're just going to warm that up now at 37 degrees, and then we're going to add the rest. Now that that's done, we're essentially just going to add all of our remaining ingredients. Our yeast is essentially incorporated into the water, and we can keep going with the rest now. I always add my flour first, so I've got some 00 flour here. If you don't have 00 flour at home, just use some plain flour. Because we want to make sure they are nice and fluffy inside, we don't want to use a flour that's too strong. And I'm going to combine this with an extra coarse wholemeal flour that I've got. You could mill your own wholemeal flour by using some grains, milling them on speed 10 for 1 minute. That will get you some really nice wholemeal flour in the Thermomix, or you could also use some spelt flour for this particular recipe. They all go really well, they add a really nice texture and make the bread roll just so much better. And then afterwards we're going to add some salt. I've got some really lovely sel de garande, which is a really nice salt that reacts really well with bread, creates a lovely deep flavour, and you want to make sure that you add something that's really good quality, because you only have a few ingredients. So to make your bread rolls even more fantastic, invest in a salt that is really good quality. Same goes for flour. All we need to do now is essentially pop that on, knead it, and then we're going to let it proof in my Thermi Servebowls. Finished kneading, ready to proof. Basically our bread dough is completely done now. It looks a bit like that. So it's a little bit sticky because we have wholemeal flour, which is perfect. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to actually pop it inside my Thermi Servebowls. You can get these in the link in the description below. They basically help insulate the heat. You could just leave it in the bowl, of course, but if you are making something else at the same time, you can just put them in there and they will preserve the heat really nicely, acting as a little bit of a proving cupboard. And the dough should come out really easily because it is wholemeal and it is actually quite a dry dough. We're going to leave this guy to proof for the next 45 minutes to an hour until it's actually twice the size. I'm going to just pop the lid on nicely. So the way you do it is just by basically flipping it inside out. If you have one of my silicone lids and you don't know how to do that, that's basically how it's done. Now I'm going to press it down a little bit to create a little bit of a vacuum, and then we can leave this to proof until it's ready. Now in the meantime, just do one more thing, and that's really important for really crispy, crusty bread rolls. You preheat your oven to the highest setting. I go on 250 degrees, and I actually inserted a cast iron skillet into my oven. You could, if you don't have one that's really nice and big, basically use an upside down baking tray. The reason why I do that is because I want to make sure when my bread rolls go into the oven, they go on that hot skillet or that hot baking tray so that they can bake to perfection straight away. That will help with the crispiness, and that will help you just get really lovely bread rolls. So let's see you once we've proved and once we've got our dough ready for you guys. So it's been about 45 minutes to an hour, and my dough has basically doubled in size, which is exactly what I wanted. I'm going to take it right out of my Servebowls now, and essentially that's what it looks like. It's really nice and fluffy, and what we're going to do is we're going to pop on a silicone baking mat that I have just dusted with a little bit of flour, and then essentially just drop it onto it. It will not look like your normal dough because you are using either wholemeal flour or you're using a spelt flour, so it will definitely look a little bit more coarse and dark than you are used to, and that's absolutely fine. So we're going to basically just divide this into 8 pieces. So I'm halving it first using a dough scraper, and then we're going to sort of make a bit of a shape so that we can create 4 equal pieces like that. And just make sure, if you want to make 100% sure and you really want to be on the safe side, you can of course weigh these pieces as well, but you don't have to do that. So literally estimated, your bread rolls will be fantastic even if they're not 100% the weight. And then essentially all we need to do is create lovely shapes. And you could make this round, you could make it oval, but I'm essentially just going to make it round with a little oval pinch, and that's how I really enjoy my bread rolls at home. So you create lots of tension by rolling it between your hands, and then you're just making a bit of an oval ending to it, and that's all you need. And you do that with all of them. You leave that onto the silicone baking mat, and then leave them to proof for another sort of good 10-15 minutes while your oven's finishing off, and you can then bake these guys. So it's been another 15 minutes or so, and my bread rolls are actually ready to be baked. What I've done is I've actually prepared my oven. I've preheated it to the highest setting. I've had my cast iron skillet in there for quite a while. If you don't have anything like it, remember you can just use a tray. It's really, really simple. I find this turns out absolutely fantastic though on here. I literally just put a tiny bit of polenta on. You don't have to do this if you're using a normal non-stick tray. You do have to do it if you are using cast ironware, because essentially stuff will stick otherwise and it doesn't look good afterwards. So, oh, and also that smells so nice. I'm going to take my wonderful bread rolls just one by one very quickly, pop them onto here, make sure there's enough space in between each because they do rise a lot in the oven. They don't rise insanely much because they are obviously full of wholemeal flour. And then what we're going to do is we're just going to take a sharp blade, scoring knife, something like that you have. Make sure it's not serrated, and you're essentially just going to slash the middle. You can go as deep as you can basically just to make sure these open up really nicely. We're going straight through the center in a nice, quick, sharp move so that these guys open up in the oven. It's just gonna look really, really wonderful. And then we're gonna just do one last thing. You can either spritz them now if you have like a water sprayer, or you just take each individual one and quickly brush it with some water. What that does is it creates that lovely crust, because remember you guys want crispy, crusty rolls. So that's what we are all about when we're doing this water. And that's also for normal breads as well. So if you are making normal breads at home and you really want a lovely shiny crust, that is how I tend to do it. But it only works for sort of harder doughs that are not too soft. Then we're going to pop this right in the oven. Just like that, on the highest setting. Take some of this water. Again, if you have a water spritzer, you're just going to spray it here and there. And if not, be very quick, chuck in some water and close that oven. Turn the temperature down immediately to 230, so a little bit lower, and we're going to cook these for 15 minutes until they're really nice and golden brown. It's now 15 minutes later and I'm really hungry for bread rolls because they look so fantastic. So I'm going to take them out of the oven. They are perfectly crispy, crusty, done bread rolls. Look at these guys. I mean, it can't be more perfect than that, really. And you can see because they've been basted with some water, they've got this perfect shine to them. So I'm going to pick one up for you guys. It's extremely hot still and just baked, perfect baked bread rolls. You can see because I've used wholemeal flour, very coarse wholemeal flour, that they obviously look a little bit more coarse on the outside, and they will also be a bit more coarse on the inside, but they will be super, super tasty. So have these guys with some fresh butter, as part of a sandwich, as part of your dinner soup. There's some amazing ways of using up these bread rolls and they just taste so incredible. So you guys go ahead, make these at home. They are beautiful, so easy to make, perfectly versatile with different flours, adaptable, and I'm gonna enjoy mine, I think, with some Nutella because I just really like Nutella. Speaking of Nutella, if you fancy some Nutella, then follow the link in the description below where you can find my epic recipe on how to make Nutella at home, which is just so, so tasty. So guys, make sure to subscribe to my channel for more amazing videos like that. They are all delicious and they're all perfect for you to dive into the world of baking and cooking with me in my kitchen, and I'll see you guys next time.